everyone. Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you joining me today. Making the decision to move to a new country and stepping into a completely different system, that takes incredible courage. And your decision to learn the ins and outs of citizenship is just another massive step. So today, we're going to act as your personal guide to understanding exactly how your new home operates. We are going to explore the traditions, the rules, and the really incredible machinery that keeps this free, law-abiding, and prosperous society running so smoothly.
But before we really get into the nuts and bolts of it all, I want you to just take a second and think about this question. What does it truly mean to be a participant in Canadian democracy? Because being a citizen isn't just about holding a passport or living within a certain set of borders, right? It is about an active, living relationship between you and your country. It's about how you shape the laws, how you protect your community, and how you exercise your freedoms. It's a journey, and you are entirely in the driver's seat. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start off with the democratic engine, then we'll move to the legislative machine, explore the shield of justice, and finish up with the citizen's contract.
Starting right off with Section 1, the democratic engine, focusing on elections and representatives.
So, Canada is a parliamentary democracy, which basically means everyday citizens, aged 18 and older, hold this incredible power to actually choose their government. Now, to make this work across the second largest country on Earth, Canada's map is carved into a very specific number of geographical areas. And that magic number? It's 308. These are distinct areas mapped out across every single province and territory. Each one of those 308 geographical areas is called a riding, or sometimes an electoral district. Essentially, the citizens living in each specific riding vote to elect exactly one person to be their member of parliament, which is commonly known as an MP. That single elected MP then packs their bags, travels to the House of Commons in Ottawa to sit in the representative chamber, and acts as the direct voice for the people of their riding on the federal stage. During an election, different political parties, which, are really just groups of people who share similar ideas about how Canada should be governed, they present their policies and their candidates, and you are entirely free to support any party you choose. When all the votes in those 308 ridings are counted up, the political party that wins the confidence of the majority of the House of Commons usually gets to form the government. The leader of that winning party then becomes the Prime Minister, the head of government, who chooses cabinet ministers and sets the country's priorities. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds, the legislative machine, or how an idea actually becomes law. All right, so we know how the representatives get to Ottawa, but how do they actually create the rules we all live by? Well, it happens through what is basically a rigorous legislative obstacle course. It starts as a proposal, which is called a bill. First, it has to survive the House of Commons, where MPs debate its principles and study it literally clause by clause. If it passes there, it climbs the ladder up to the Senate for a second, really grueling review. Finally, once both chambers agree on it, the bill requires royal assent, which is granted by the Governor-General on behalf of the sovereign. Only after surviving every single step of this ladder does it officially become Canadian law. I know this multi-step process might sound a bit long, but it is deeply intentional. It makes sure every new law is carefully examined from multiple angles before it actually takes effect, because laws are the written rules intended to guide society. They provide order, they offer a peaceful way to settle disputes, and ultimately they're a direct reflection of our shared Canadian traditions, identity, and values. Moving right along to Section 3, the shield of justice, where we'll look at courts, police, and fairness. Okay, so creating laws is really only half the equation. Applying them fairly is the other, and this relies entirely on the rule of law. It's brilliantly illustrated by Lady Justice. Notice her blindfold? The law is completely blind to your wealth, your status, your background. It only cares about the facts. The rule of law basically means that individuals and governments are regulated by laws, not by just arbitrary actions. Absolutely no one is above the law. Everyone is equal before it. Another paramount principle of the judicial system is the presumption of innocence. This guarantees that anyone charged with a crime is legally considered innocent until proven guilty in a fair trial. It ensures due process, meaning the government absolutely must respect all the legal rights a person is entitled to, including the right to legal representation and to be judged strictly according to the law. It is a foundational right that empowers and protects every single person. And we see this justice carried out through a dual system. On one hand, you have the courts, where impartial citizens actually step up to serve on juries to settle disputes fairly. On the other hand, you have the police, whose strict role is to enforce the laws, investigate crimes, and ultimately ensure that freedom under the law is a safe reality for your community.
And that brings us to our final section, Part 4, the Citizen's Contract, all about your rights and responsibilities.
Now, what's really interesting about this part of the journey is how it comes right down to you, the individual. We've talked about the government, the laws, the courts, but becoming a Canadian citizen is a unique social contract. It's a delicate balance. On one side, you have these powerful charter rights, the right to vote, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, mobility rights so you can live and work anywhere in the country. But balancing the scale on the exact opposite side are your responsibilities. Our cherished freedoms only exist because citizens accept duties like obeying the laws, serving on a jury, and protecting our shared environment.
Let's actually look a bit closer at these essential civic duties. We've mentioned obeying the law, voting, and jury duty, but taking responsibility for yourself and your family by working hard and keeping with your abilities is also a core Canadian value that really contributes to personal dignity and the country's prosperity. Helping your community is incredibly vital too. Millions of volunteers freely donate their time with such amazing enthusiasm because active, grassroots participation is how Canada truly thrives. And of course, respecting the rights and freedoms of others is what holds the whole shebang together.
That respect for others is the absolute bedrock of Canadian multiculturalism. Canada is known globally for its cultural diversity. It's a prosperous society built by generations of newcomers, just like you. Canadians celebrate the gift of one another's presence, working hard to live in harmony and respecting different beliefs, cultures, and languages while remaining united under a commitment to one law-abiding society. So if there is one huge takeaway here, it's this: rights always come with responsibilities. They are literally two sides of the exact same coin. Holding the keys to Canadian democracy isn't a passive experience. It requires your active, responsible, and continuous participation to keep the engine running, to uphold the laws, and to celebrate the diversity that makes the country strong. I really want to leave you with a final thought to chew on as you reflect on everything we've covered in this explainer today. You are helping to write the continuing story of this nation. So, I have to ask you, how will you participate in your democracy today? Whether it's reading up on a local issue, volunteering in your community, or just getting prepared for the next time you cast a ballot, the power is absolutely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me to explore Canadian democracy. Keep learning, keep participating, and I will see you next time.